Hey there, Supalama here. I'm going to continue on the Medeco challenge lock build today. I'm going to work on the driver pins now. So, if nobody's seen me make a challenge lock before, what I do is I populate the core with all the key pins to determine what kind of pins I can use effectively within the plug. And I'll usually start with the highest cut pin first, just because they're usually a little bit of a pain. In this case, pin 6 is the highest, so it doesn't really give us a whole lot of room. I'll probably stick a T-pin in there. As for 1, that's probably going to go to what is like a telescopic upside down nail head that gets caught up in the shear, and it gives a nice false set. And it becomes very, very hard to pull out of that. As for, was it 3 and 5, we'll probably use another T-pin or some more of those upside down nail heads, maybe with some serrations. And 2 and 4 are going to be my wafer pins. So we're going to work on 6 for now, and we'll get through the rest later. Stay tuned. Okay, so you just watched me build these two pins here, the tiny T-pin, which I might replace if it starts to fall over in the chamber too much, and this oversized spool. That's going to get some more work done, but not quite yet. Got a little bit more work to do. So what we're going to be building next is, let me get this in the tweezers here, my specialty pin, which seems to have aptly been called the llama pin, which is the floating wafer pins, if this will focus. There we go. And that's going to be in chamber 4. That elongated spool is in chamber 5. I use a finishing nail as a base, or Canadian Tire calls them wire nails. There is the size there. But the actual length of the nail is too thick to work with the holes that I pre-drilled and cut the sections off for the rings. So, luckily enough, I have a lathe, so I'll be chucking this up into the lathe and turning down the length of it until I get the desired thickness. The reason I use nails is because it's much stronger in the long run, lasts longer, and the fitment and the end crimp on the end, I would call it, is much stronger. So up next I'll show you how I turn it down. It takes 5 seconds, if anything, really. Alright, nice and quick and painless shape down of the nail here, if it would focus. You can kind of see the step right there. So, all I do is I just cut off the excess I don't need. Just a pair of side cutters. I'm sure that will be stuck in my foot somewhere. It's just fallen to the floor. So now I've got a nice little piece. And I will grab one of my pre-cut rings. I'll choose them based on their thickness. And I don't know. That one's way too thick. Usually when I make these rings, I make a whole bunch just in case. That way it gives me the option to be picky. That one's good. There's only going to be 2 llama pins in here anyway, so... Actually, this can be going the other way. And I'll just take my pin, my key pin specifically, take the partially made pin, and put everything into the plug and check fitment. If it looks like this, you're good. So, I'll take my side cutters, clip off more. So in this case, I'll be somewhere around there. And for brand new side cutters, these things are dull. Okay. Now I've got that part made. I will leave it like this, so head of the nail faces down. And I'll take a hammer and beat the end until it mushrooms out to a size where the rings can't get out anymore. It's a very arduous task, so I will not be recording it, but I am literally just taking a hammer and hitting the end until it mushrooms out. So, give me a minute and I'll get back to you with a finished pin. Alright, and a good 10 minutes of hitting this with a hammer, and there we are. A nice, strong, defalset causing hellraiser of a pin. That's going right there in 2. So, all I've got left is 1 and 2 to build, and I'll have to machine down this spool, get another nail machined down to fit the hole drilled, and that's really about it. Keep watching. I'll keep machining. Alright, so driver pins are all done. Again, here is the depths for the key pins. This is what I had to work with, so this is what determined what was what. So, pin 1 is a standard pin with a pin-in-pin upside down nail head. That will grab into the shear quite nicely. I'm having one heck of a time with focus today. There. Pin 2. Llama pin. Pin 3, another one of the standards with the upside down nail head. Pin 4, there's another llama pin. Pin 5, I decided to work down that spool a little bit, it was way too long. I put in a nail, but I intentionally left a little shelf there to give it some extra step. And then you actually have to pick this out of shear. And pin 6 is this very small T-pin, which I might replace with a longer version. It's a little short, so I worry it might fall over in the chamber. So that is driver pins complete. Stay tuned while the next episode will be body modifications. That one should be a very short one. Thanks for watching.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.